I broke one of my own cardinal rules last night, and I paid dearly for it. And one of those, and I talked about it many times over the years here on the video reports, is never put good money on bad teams. So last night, instead of using the Memphis Grizzlies, who, if you happen to come to the website yesterday, you happen to see that I used Memphis at home, laying 8.5 points against Sacramento as the free play. That was my second best play on the board. Instead of using Memphis as my best bet yesterday, I foolishly decided to use New Orleans, but I had some good reasons. The Pelicans were coming off a 20-point blowout win at home a couple of nights earlier against a road weary Orlando Magic team, another team that was bad, and they were hosting an even worse team, taking on the Brooklyn Nets team. Now, listen, New Orleans had been playing well of late. They were still on the fringe of trying to make the Western Conference playoffs, making the 8th seed. They still have plenty of time left in the season. They've been playing well at home, evening their record at 500. They had done well at home against Eastern Conference teams. And the bottom line, you had a Brooklyn Nets team that had lost 28 out of 32 games, that had lost 15 straight games on the road, that had won just one game in 19 tries outside of the Barclays Center this season. So naturally, I thought the Pelicans were a damn good play last night, laying the 10 points at home. And I think the New Orleans Pelicans team bus got, I don't know, I think it must have broken down like at a Crystal's Burgers place. Do you know what a Crystal Burgers is? If you've never been to Crystal's, it's like White Castle if you've never been to the South. I think it broke down, and I think they sent a high school team to play the game last night because Brooklyn scored like 374 points in the game. Brooklyn, I think, covered the spread by like 122 points in the game. In fact, I think Brooklyn just scored again just a minute ago. I mean, I looked at the score. I wasn't feeling good last night. So I got up a little later. I went to our site. I looked at the scoreboard, and I looked at the game, and I thought, is something wrong with our scoreboard last night? So I went to a competitor's site, and I looked at the score, and I thought, damn, no, our scoreboard is working, unfortunately, last night. Oh, my God, what a horrible game. Now, some people that bet that game will say, oh, well, Anthony Davis got hurt in the game. And yes, he suffered a quad injury, only played 7 minutes in the second half. Hey, listen, the Pelicans were buried by 20 by the time he left the game. It wouldn't have mattered if Anthony Davis and 7 more of them played in that game. It didn't matter. Last night was just one of those nights. And again, goes back to my original premise. I never should have broken my own cardinal rules. One of them, again, you never put good money on bad teams. Lesson learned. Wish I had just remembered that lesson yesterday. Okay, listen, lots of college basketball here for today's card. Let's get to some complimentary plays. Can't lose those damn complimentary plays. Won again last night with them. I've got a couple of them here for you. First game I'm going to take a look at is going to be Marshall. -9 at home against a Western Kentucky Conference USA action. Listen, Thundering Herd have lost 2 straight games, 94-78 at UAB and 69-57 at Middle Tennessee State. This after a 4-0 start in Conference USA play. But they're back in Huntington today where they're undefeated at home. And Marshall won last year at home, 94-76, and Marshall won last year in overtime on the road against the Hilltoppers, 96-93. And Marshall, bottom line, has played great at home. 20 wins, 7 losses, and a push against the spread in their last 28 home games. Meanwhile, the Hilltoppers have lost 3 in a row, losing at home to Old Dominion. Now, Old Dominion is not a team that scores a lot of points, but Old Dominion beat them at home 79-67. Then they lost 72-54 at UAB and 91-76 at Middle Tennessee State. So you see 2 scores that were very similar to the same 2 road losses that Marshall just absorbed. But here's the thing with Marshall. Marshall's in a little bit of a shooting slump. But if you know anything about the Thundering Herd and you know anything about their coach, you know that they love to play up-tempo. And the one thing that I think is I'm looking at a depressed price here for Marshall. If Marshall had come off a road split, if Marshall had been playing better, if this was the second or a third game of a second or third game, 3-game homestand, Marshall probably would be laying 13 and a half points in this game because that's what the line really should be. And the one thing with a team that loves to play up-tempo and is not afraid of taking shots is they're going to keep on shooting and they're going to keep on accelerating the pace because the only way this type of team that plays all out, fast break all the time gets out of a shooting slump is to continue playing at that up-tempo pace. And I think they're going to run the Hilltoppers right out of the gymnasium here today. So Marshall is going to be one of those plays. I am also going to go with, let's see, what's going to be another play? I'm going to go with Creighton, minus the 5 points at home against Marquette. I expect this to be a very close game, and I am very well aware of the fact that the Creighton Blue Jays lost their starting point guard, Marcus Watson, to an ACL tear, season-ending knee injury in the game against Xavier on Monday. Led the nation in assists with 8.5, and a couple of freshmen are going to have to pick up the load for the Blue Jays. But listen, this is a Blue Jays team that is 18-1 on the season with the lone loss coming at home against Villanova by 10 points. Nothing to be ashamed of there. This is a Golden Eagles team that is coming off an 88-80 loss at Butler on Monday. That's the same day that Creighton went to Xavier and snapped the Musketeers' 15-game home winning streak with the 3-point upset win. But what you don't realize when I tell you that Marquette lost that decision at Butler 88-80, and you go, well, hey, listen, you lose at Butler, you lose at the Hinkle Fieldhouse, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, fine. But you have to look a little deeper, because in that game, the Golden Eagles, that's Marquette, they were up by 16 points at halftime. They were outscored in the second half of that game 63-39. You talk about collapses, and then there are epic collapses. That's what Marquette suffered. Now, yes, water has passed under the proverbial bridge, which is easy for me to say, isn't it? You've got some time has passed, but still, you're going to the Lions' Den against a team in Omaha that is still playing with confidence and is looking to prove that they can survive without their leader on the floor. Creighton is a very weak rebounding team, but Marquette is not a particularly strong team on the boards. I think you're going to look at a high-scoring game here. You've got a couple of interesting ATS trends that support Creighton as well. This is a Blue Jays team that has covered 25 of its last 35 games at home. This is a Blue Jays team that is 40-18-1 against the spread in its last 59 games, no matter the location. I mean, that is a hell of a great money-making role for this team. And in Big East play over the past couple of years, 23-9-1 ATS role for Creighton. Meanwhile, the Eagles, after a straight-up loss, I always like this particular trend when I see this one that pops out, because to me it tells you a lot about how a team deals with adversity. The Eagles, Marquette, 8-20 against the spread after the last 28 straight-up losses in the game following a straight-up loss. They've only covered 8 times the last 28 occasions. So I'm going to go with Creighton minus the 5 points in that particular contest. Then your other complimentary play, I'm going to go with Notre Dame to rebound at home today against Syracuse. You know, on Monday night, I had a $15 best bet on North Carolina at home against Syracuse, and I wasn't too worried about that Jim Boeheim 2-3 zone, because I thought that North Carolina would use the height that it had to simply work the ball inside the post and get over that 2-3 zone. Well, that's one way to beat the 2-3 zone. Use your height, work the ball inside, and take advantage of your height. And when you have the height, you're also a very good rebounding team. So even if you miss the shot, you have an excellent chance to get plenty of second chance points. And that worked to perfection for Roy Williams' team. Well, Notre Dame does not have exceptional height, but the other way you beat a team that plays a 2-3 zone is you've got to be able to spread the floor, and you got to rely on your shooters. Well, that's the MO that Notre Dame will employ today, because the Irish are a damn good 3-point shooting team. Hell, they're a damn good 2-point shooting team. Last I looked, I think they've got 3 guys on their team that shoot between 35 and 43% from 3-point territory. So what they're going to do is they're going to draw that zone out. They're going to take those shots from the outside, and once they do that, that's going to open up the inside. Now, Notre Dame just is playing a killer schedule. Just came off a 3-game road trip where they snapped Miami's home winning streak, they snapped Virginia Tech's home winning streak, and they gave Florida State all the Seminoles could handle a couple nights ago in an 83-80 road loss in Tallahassee. Again, nothing to be ashamed of there. Now they're back at home. They were 5-0 in ACC play up to that point before losing to Florida State. I think they rebound here. You know, Syracuse has done nothing on the road this season. They got hammered in non-conference play when they took on number 17 Wisconsin, lost by double digits. They just got hammered by North Carolina the other night by double digits. At home, they're okay, and they play much better defense at home. But on the road, they give up over 80 points in their first three ACC games on average. And I just think that this is a spot that you come back and you take Notre Dame. This line is sitting right around 7.5 points or so, and I just think Notre Dame was a great play here to bounce back and take the Irish. So again, your three plays, Notre Dame, Creighton, and again, I'm going to go with Marshall as well as your complimentary plays. A couple other games that I handicapped that I just want to pass out a couple of notes here for you. Beware of the Oregon-Stanford game. Oregon going, of course, for another home win where they've been deadly in Eugene, and they won 15 straight games overall after blowing out California a couple of nights ago. Oregon's leading scorer, junior Dylan Brooks, the forwards, re-injured that foot in the California game, and he probably is not going to play again today. So he's averaging like 13 points a game, even though Stanford, their big guy, what's his name? Reed Travis. He didn't play Thursday against Oregon State, and he averages 16 points and 9 rebounds a game. He is questionable because of ongoing shoulder injury still. Oregon, a 14-point favorite. I don't know if I would touch that game, even though they are deadly at Matthew Knight Arena. Another game you have to be careful about is Utah. The Utes have played very well. But one of the reasons that Utah has played very well has been because of the contributions of two guys that transferred into the program that weren't eligible in the first half of the season. And one of those guys is David Collette, who's averaging 15 points and 5 rebounds. Because of a concussion, he missed the Washington State blowout win 88-47 on Wednesday night. Don't even think he's going to be available to play today when Utah's a 3-point favorite at Washington. Now, I know the Huskies are 3-8-1 against the spread in their last 12 games. I know they're 1-7-1 against the spread in their last 9 games against teams with winning records. And I know Washington is not a great team, but Collette is one of the key players, I think, for Utah. And that's why you've seen that line suppressed. And I think that is a game just like the Oregon-Stanford game. If you're not aware of those injuries, I think that's another one of those games that you have to stay away from as well. That'll do it, guys. I wish you well, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we've got something going on in the NFL, a couple of games. We'll talk about it on Sunday. Good luck, everybody.